Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim of Creative Crafticality, and today I have some new Christmas ephemera packs that are up in my Etsy shop, and I had featured these over on Instagram if you haven't been following me over there. But I made these cute ephemera pockets using some vintage Christmas sheet music and some vintage ribbon. Each one of them will have a wood vintage ornament on it, tied up with some bells and some fun trim here. And then I added a sparkly snowflake. Each one will have two pieces about 12 inches long of some vintage fabric ruffles, and it's tied up with some vintage ribbon there. And then it's jam-packed full of fun vintage ephemera. There's a couple like newer items, but most of it's vintage, and there's lots of things that I embellished with stitching and stamping, and then I did some dyeing of paper with some well, I coffee stained a couple of the papers, and then I used some shimmer mist to do an envelope and then onto some of the paper. And then, yeah, there's probably around 35 pieces of ephemera in this pocket. And I have 5 sets of them. So if you want to check them out on my Etsy shop, I will have the link down below. So I'm going to unpack one of these for you so you can see what is included. As I said, the outside is made with some cardstock. I stitched on some vintage sheet music that each one has a different song on it, or in this case there's 2 different songs. And then I tied it with this really pretty Christmas plaid ribbon with some bells. This one has an angel, and I paired it with the one that says "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" on there. And then let's go ahead and open this up. This envelope is about 6 inches by 8 or 9 this way, so it's a pretty big envelope. I have a piece of embroidered, a vintage tablecloth embroidered here and crocheted, so there's a piece there. This was from a piece of wrapping paper, and I just added some lined Christmas green paper on the back so you can use it as a journaling card. I made some tickets here and just stamped with some of my Christmas stamps. That was just a little extra. Here is a shimmery glassine envelope, and I stamped it with that vintage Santa stamp I had. I made this tag with a book page from A Christmas Bedtime Stories. That was a vintage book. I stamped a little vintage Santa head there and put that on. And then I stitched some more vintage ribbon. It's on some tea-stained paper. And then I added this wood Christmas tree, and I added vintage ribbon or fabric at the top with a Christmas embellishment. Each one has a different saying on it. Each one will have a vintage recipe card, several different vintage Christmas cards. This one is our little angels, super cute. It's a vintage postcard. I stamped Merry Christmas, and then another vintage stamp on the back. Here is a vintage Christmas card. This one was from 1912, so really old. Here is a Snickerdoodles vintage recipe card. It's a postcard actually. Christmas Santa napkin. Vintage postcard. I added a Santa head from vintage wrapping paper and some rickrack. Here is this shimmer mist envelope, and I filled it with some goodies. I added trim and these little sequins there. But it has a bunch of little tags, vintage tags. these. This one is a Coca-Cola Santa tag. A vintage milk cap. Milk cap. A Santa stamp. Here is a Santa playing card. This is a piece of a Christmas card that's been trimmed out. Vintage Santa coaster and a couple pieces of vintage Christmas fabric. And then there are some vintage book pages of different, either a recipe book or just different books. These two are from recipe books. This is the Christmas dinner. And then this one has different cakes and cinnamon twists. Here is a book page from a Wee Wisdom Christmas edition. This one is from the Christmas Bedtime Stories book. Here is an old doily, paper doily that I dyed with food coloring. Here's a piece of Christmas wrapping paper, vintage wrapping paper with Santa on it. Here is a page from an Ideals book. A Giotto, vintage Giotto playing card. And then here are the coffee or tea stained papers. This one I stamped with a wreath stamp on there, and then this one I sprayed with the shimmer mist. So those are all the items that are in each one, and they each have the same amount of items and this identical kind of items. Of course, each vintage item is a little bit different, but they'll each have the same sort of assortment, and each of the listings will have pictures of everything that is included in the listing, and they'll be each separate listing, so it'll be easy for you to see what you are buying. The pictures will show exactly what will come in your packet. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you will go over to my shop and check these out, and these will just be a great addition to your Christmas journal, or you could just use it. I mean, there's plenty here to even just make a journal on itself. You would just need to add in a cover of some sort, like you could go to the Dollar Tree and just buy one of their dollar books, or just you could cover a manila envelope, and they have those at the Dollar Tree usually. You could use like a cereal box and cover that. Just endless things. So you go to a thrift store and find an old book that's falling apart, whatever, and make yourself a Christmas journal, a December daily or whatever, a little prayer journal. But I just had fun putting these together, and hopefully you like these. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.